So the way that you're going to be able to squeeze out the most you can out of something like a half kneeling exercise or a full kneeling exercise is going to be by establishing a good relationship between your pelvis and your rib cage. So let's explain that. Let's start with a half kneeling. I'm going to show you going forward first, and I'm going to show you from the side so you can see what everything's kind of doing. So let's start with a half kneeling, as that's the easier of the two. So a big thing that a lot of powerlifters tend to do, and just a lot of people in general, is when they do a half kneeling exercise with no coaching, they'll intuitively just kind of be out here. I want a more narrow base of support, and I want your hips and your core musculature to be what's holding you stable versus relying on like the end ranges of motion of your bones, right? When I'm out here, my femur's probably kind of jammed against my hip socket a little bit more than it would be if I was here. So what I look for in the front leg, you want the knee straight out in front of the hip. So if you're anything outside of that, bring it in. Knee right out in front of the hip, and then you want the knee stacked over the heel or the midfoot, whatever's comfortable, so you can have a little bit of forward knee travel, but nothing too crazy. I want the bottom leg or the back leg, I want the knee directly under the hip, okay? And I'll show you from the side in a minute, but you don't want to be hyper extending that hip. From here, whatever exercise you're doing, let's say you're doing a one-arm press, I want you to take a nice long exhale to start. Feel your rib cage drop down. You're going to hold that rib cage there the entire time, and you're going to think about taking your tailbone and kind of tucking it under you a little bit, or you can think about your belt buckle kind of turning up towards your face just a little bit. And from here, you should feel this quad kind of stretching a little bit. You might feel a little bit of your hamstrings, and you should feel some abs while you're doing this as well. Staying nice and tall while doing so, going ahead and do your press. Reach as tall as you can without cranking in a hyperextension, losing that kind of good rib down position. From the side, same thing, like I said, knee over heel or midfoot, hips slightly tucked under you, this knee directly under that hip, arm here, keeping this nice and stable. You can put a hand here, some feedback, reach, and control back down. Big thing I like to tell people, relax your neck. A lot of people will strain their neck like crazy. A really easy way to do this is when I have people doing half kneeling exercises, I don't necessarily want them straining like crazy. Let your mouth hang open. If you let your mouth hang open, just kind of dead, it'll be really hard for you to really strain your neck. Going into the full kneeling version of just the kneeling exercises, same rules apply, just a little bit harder. You can squeeze like a foam roller or a ball between your knees. From here, same thing. You're just going to think about tucking your hips a little bit. You want your knees right under the hips. Again, tuck those hips. Go ahead and do your press or your row or whatever it is, just maintaining that rib down position, that hip tucked position.